is likewise a Bosconian, but from Don Bosco, Makati. So John Sanchez attended high school in Makati. His specialization is on industrial electronics technology from the Meralco Foundation Institute and holds a BS degree in computer science from Enverga University. He is currently a test development engineering manager at Analog Devices Philippines. Prior to joining Analog, he worked at Microchip Technology, specializing in 8-bit microcontroller test development. He was also part of the startup team that established Microchip's test development facility in the Philippines. John also worked in Intel Philippines as microprocessor test and burn-in process and equipment engineer. He currently leads the automotive quality and product qualification engineering teams in Analog Devices Philippines. He also leads the academe linkage initiatives of the company. So sakto, medyo academe tayo in a way kasi we are all connected to Don Bosco. So friends, without further ado, please welcome Mr. John Sanchez. John?
Okay, thank you, Sir Dominic. Thank you for having me here in this webinar event of Don Bosco Mandaluyong. And I would like to thank Sir Noni. It's a very interesting topic on digital transformation. I think the topic I'm going to share as well is related to that because of the technologies involved. No, so let me try to share my presentation. Let me know if you get to see my slide here.
We can see it now.
Okay. All right, so let me start. So my topic is about semiconductor industry and the and Analog Devices Philippines overview. No, so let me. So for today, three sub agendas. Quick industry overview of the semiconductor industry. I'll normally switch from saying semiconductor or semicon, and then an overview of analog device, an example, and also for Bosconian, especially for the younger ones, what's next? No, what careers are there in the semiconductor industry? Okay. As you know, no, you related to the talk kanina ni Sir Noni, semiconductors are all around us. You know, they control the computers we use to conduct business, like in what we've seen in the example, the phones and the mobile devices we use to communicate. The cars and the planes that get us from place to place, and even the machines that diagnose and treat illness, and the military systems that protect us. There's also the presence of semiconductors. And of course, the electronic gadgets that we use to listen to music, watch movies, and even play games, just to name a few. And over the years, advances in key areas are driven by semiconductors, just like what I mentioned, in areas of communications, computing, healthcare, military systems, transportation, and clean energy. So it's pervasive when you talk about semiconductors and the impact of the semicon industry. And another thing that I would like to share in terms of semiconductor industry global revenue, in 2020, there's about $438 billion in terms of revenue for the semicon industry. It's for the whole semicon industry. It also supports yung bigger ecosystem ng information and communications technology, which is also about $4 trillion of market as well. Now, when you convert that revenue into actual shipments of IC or units from the whole semicon industry, that's about 263 billion units of IC that were shipped in 2020. Now, looking at its equivalent, from the global semicon industry, and then trying to quickly go over the business models involved in the semicon industry. So I'll just go to this quickly. There's what we call integrated device manufacturers in the semicon industry. And these are the companies that design its own branded chips in-house, and they own their fabrication plants where it manufactures its own IC. Examples are, Intel, Samsung, and NXP. There's also what we call as fabless companies. They design and sell semiconductor chips while outsourcing their fabrication to a foundry. And examples of these are NVIDIA, Qualcomm, AMD, and MediaTek. And then there is also what we call a foundry companies or your business model. It's a foundry, and they operate semiconductor fabrication plants focus on manufacturing IC for other companies, but they don't design them. And examples are, yung TSMC, the biggest foundry in the world, and then there's also global foundries. And there's also a model which we call outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, which is, for short, we call it OSAT. And these companies provide third-party IC packaging and test services, examples of which are Amcor Technology, ASE, and JSET or STATS. And then another important aspect of this infrastructure are the semiconductor equipment suppliers. They are the ones supplying equipment, fabricating equipment to produce all of these chips and components, just like Applied Materials, ASML, and then there's also the semiconductor material supplier. And then they're the ones that manufacture the materials used in fab process, assembly processes, could be chemicals, could be the packaging material for the IC. Examples are the ones that produce the wafer ingots, Tanaka, Nippon for the wires for the assembly, and then Hitachi, Kinetsu for mold and die attach for assembly. Switching gears a bit from the global industry now, looking at the local setting here in the Philippines. When you talk about the Philippine semiconductor industry, there's an organization called SAPI, and this is the Semiconductor and Electronics Industries in the Philippines. And basically, it's an organization where a lot of the local companies and even multinational companies, they try to become a member of SAPI, so that there's a single voice, unifying all of the efforts and the initiatives of the various semiconductor companies here in the Philippines. This information here I got from SAPI. There's about, from the members of SAPI, there's 73% of those are semiconductor manufacturing services. 27% are electronics manufacturing services. And in 2019, the total exports coming from the Philippine semiconductor industry amounted to about $43 billion, which is about 61% of the total exports of the Philippines in 2019. And when you talk about the employment, there's about 3 million direct and indirect workers in the Philippine semicon industry. Typically, the top 5 destinations of the products that we export goes to China, USA, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong. The next slide shows some of the member companies and organizations. This does not show the complete membership of SAPI, but just wanted to show some of the familiar names that are here in the Philippines, like of course Analog Devices, Amcor Technology, On Semiconductor, Texas Instruments, Maxim Integrated, Nexperia, Rome Semi, and all the other companies and organizations pictured here. Now, the next part of my discussion is to give an overview as well of Analog Devices. So I will quickly go through what the company is all about. I'll go through a corporate overview, some of the market and technologies where analog devices play, and give an overview of the ADI Philippines facility of the company. So at a glance, the company was founded in 1965. The headquarters located in Bosconian, Massachusetts. We have 16,000 employees. We have around 45,000 different products. Typically, the annual revenue of the company is around $6.2 billion. I believe this was in 2019. And we have about 125,000 different customers. And in terms of patents, there's around 4,700 technology patents. And the company normally invests a lot in R&D. And over the past 10 years, the company has invested $6.5 billion. This slide shows you the some of the locations of the company in Asia, of course, the Philippines, and then in America, and then in Thailand, in Europe. Okay. So what do we do in analog devices? So ADI, it's more of again a semiconductor OEM company. So what we do, we have a unique set of capabilities that allows us to bridge the physical and the digital worlds. And in the next slide, let me just show this. Um, these are some of the technologies that form the core of the products of analog devices. So let me go through each one of them quickly. We have technologies that are responsible for sensing, precision signals, and power efficiency. We have technologies that do measurement that are responsible for signal conditioning and also for very accurate measurement capabilities. We also interpret the signals around us. We have processing capabilities that combine hardware and advanced algorithms to deliver intelligence. And we also have products that feature security capabilities. And of course, another important technology that the company has are the connectivity of the products that provide next generation connectivity solutions from RF to millimeter wave. We have a lot of products right now that are very active in the ramp of 5G and of course soon to be 6G technologies. And of course the underlying technology that is common to all of this is the power that connects all of these technologies together. Where analog devices play as a company, we play in the consumer arena, communications, the industrial space, and also in the automotive space. We also have products that goes into aerospace and defense, automotive electrification, energy, healthcare, and instrumentation. Now, just wanted to show quickly the engineering capabilities that we have here in ADI Philippines. What you can see here is the typical new product development flow of a standard semiconductor device that we develop in the company. And a lot of those product development engages a lot of engineering disciplines. And as you can see here, it starts with silicon design and layout, and then there's design verification, and then there's silicon debug and test evaluation, there's test development, there's manufacturing validation and new product release, and then product applications. So these six functions are very much active in the new product development flow. And quite recently, over the past 3 years, we built capabilities in firmware and software development, evaluation, board design and fabrication, and as well as applications with direct customer engagement. And we also built what we call our garage initiative, and we also have systems development. So over the years, those engineering capabilities have been developed here in ADI Philippines. And I also want to share this quick slide here that shows, some of the major transitions of the history of the presence of the company here in the Philippines, starting in 1982. And then a major transformation happened in the year 2000 when the operations in General Trias Cavite basically started during around this time. And then during 2010, when a lot of the engineering, I would say engineering functions related to new product development started appearing here in the site. So basically, over the years, there's uninterrupted manufacturing operations from 1982 even up to now, and we've seen that shift, from a increased engineering engagement. So it's basically at the moment it's the best of both worlds, where we have manufacturing operations in the site, and as well as a growing R&D engineering capability in the Philippines. So just a quick glance, this is what we call the ADI Philippines campus. So as you can see, building one, this is where we have a lot of our manufacturing operations. Building two is where we have our engineering laboratories. Building three is another extension of the manufacturing operations in building one. And then the newest facility that we have is building four, which basically houses a lot of our engineering teams and our R&D capabilities. So all in all, this is about 1 million square foot of floor area, in residing in around 36 acres of lot for the whole facility. So again, building one, this is where we have our manufacturing. Building two, our engineering lab and some of our human resources capability. And then building three, a continuation of our manufacturing facility focusing on military and aerospace. And then building four, our engineering and research and development facility. Now, my next topic is, because of the glimpse that I showed you about the semiconductor industry, and then looking at specifically analog devices as an example. So basically, for Bosconians, what's next? What would Bosconians expect as careers or um, potential engagement or involvement in the semiconductor industry? A couple of days ago, I was looking at the data from our human resources department, and I was going through the list of engineers we currently have in the site, and I was looking at engineers from Don Bosco. Where are they in the company, and what functions do they do? And so what we did is we've come up with this quick slide that shows us the different engineering functions within the site. And this is where I've seen, we have Bosconians in our test and product engineering department. So test and product engineering is basically responsible for providing test solutions and product knowledge support for our products that are being developed as well as products that are being manufactured in our factory. And we also have design and layout engineering, and we have Bosconians that are involved in um, silicon IC layout and silicon IC design. And we also have product applications engineering, where mostly the responsibility here is coming up with solutions for the customers by assisting our customers in trying to come up with practical use of our products. So, this is more of getting a lot of knowledge and in-depth domain expertise on where our products are to be used. And we also have Bosconians going into our equipment engineering department, and this is mostly the group that handles a lot of our maintenance and sustaining support. As the semicon industry uses a lot of machinery, and these machines are very expensive. And equipment engineering plays an important role in making sure our equipment are maintained properly, that they perform efficiently in supporting the factory. And we also have Bosconians who are in our manufacturing operations. So they are heavily involved in really running our production, um, um, supervising our production personnel, and ensuring that our products, are tested and are shipped timely because of to support customer requirements. And then we also have firmware and software engineering, which is also related to our information systems engineering. We also have Bosconians in our printed circuit board engineering, and a lot of things are being supported out of this group related to our test development, to our product applications. And we also have Bosconians that are under our assembly package development engineering. And this is more of developing our integrated circuit packaging, of course, understanding the customer needs yeah, and trying to match that of ADI Philippines so that our silicon get assembled in our various packaging offerings to our customers. And then we also have our quality engineering group. We have failure analysis and reliability, and this also plays an integral part in ensuring that our products get out of the door, meeting our quality standards. So I think there's a lot of opportunity as I've looked at that data from our HR. A lot of our Bosconian brothers are involved in a variety of functions, I would say, within ADI Philippines. And I also shared a picture here. The last time I visited, I think Don Bosco Mandaluyong was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, way back in 2017. And we've met with some of the faculty of the ECE department. I think you have, I think Sir Winston, I think, attending one of our conferences here in Analog Devices Philippines. So I think, from especially from our younger engineers, there's no better time to be engineer in the Philippines, than now. There's a lot of opportunities going on, just like what Sir Noni has mentioned. Digital transformation is changing the way businesses operate. And related to that, the opportunities for technology and engineering continue to evolve. And even for Analog Devices Philippines, based on the data, I believe we've hired at least 100 engineers over the past 3 years. So yearly, we hire at least 100 to 150 engineers. So there's a lot of opportunity for engineers. And some of the pictures here, we have some of our younger engineers presenting to our CEO and founder. And you also see this race data, the guy here at the middle picture. And you can see the CEO of AMD looking at the presentation of our engineers as well. So, there's it's exciting times ahead for engineers, and there's a lot of opportunities for them. Um, so I would like to share this as well quickly over the next 5 to 10 years. This is what we see as the decadal plan for semiconductors. Key seismic shifts that will define the future of semiconductors and ICT, and these are basically, especially for waiting for them, so to speak, in the next few years in the semicon industry. So number one, there's going to be fundamental breakthroughs in analog hardware required to generate smarter world-machine interfaces that can sense, perceive, and reason. The second seismic shift is the growth of memory demands that will outstrip global silicon supply, presenting opportunities for the radically new memory and storage solutions. The third seismic shift is there's going to be always available communication, which requires new research directions that address the imbalance of communication capacity versus data generation rates. The number four seismic shift is breakthroughs in hardware research are needed to address emerging security challenges in highly interconnected systems and artificial intelligence. And lastly, there's going to be an ever rising energy demand for computing versus global energy production, which will create new risk and new computing paradigms, which will also offer opportunities to dramatically improve energy efficiency. So basically, in the next 5 to 10 years, these are some of the challenges that the semiconductor industry will face. So what's needed, from a skill set perspective? So to be in the semicon industry, what are we looking for? So number one, we're looking at competency in analog circuits. So it's the fundamentals in electronics that is important here. And then, as you've seen in the digital transformation topic presented a while ago, there's a need to have more software and programming skills. We're also looking at analytical skills with specialty in statistics and data analysis. And we're also looking at engineers with a systematic approach in research. So there's, I think the one thing that's consistent in the semiconductor industry is change. So a lot of research, a lot of innovation continues to happen, and there's always an evolution. And of course, at the bottom, you see we also look at skill set that would show keen observation. We look at how individuals see what's different, and we look at how individuals challenge the status quo. And we also look at inquisitiveness and individuals trying to understand and really seek answers. So I think that's my last slide. So I just want to mention some of the sources where I got some of my information. And I also want to thank Jeff for helping me with the content and arranging the topics for my talk today. So thank you very much. So basically that ends my presentation, Sir Dominic.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Very, very informative. Guys, we can see what the landscape for semicon will be in the next few years, or well, the next decade, in fact. So that was a lot of information. Are there questions, guys, for John? Do we have questions? The chat box is kind of busy with comments, and that's good. Okay, Arnel de Malanta said great inputs. So John, yep. Do you have questions for John? Marlu Madriu. Okay, John, this question is coming from Singapore. Actually, energy efficiency in computing is already being addressed with the ongoing shift from x86 ISA architecture towards RISC-based architecture computing from Apple and the ARM M series processors and RISC-V with the rest of the industry. Okay,
That's true.
it's
That's true.
yeah, it's a comment actually, not a question. But all right, yep. All right. See, Jeff says, Jay, how many Bosconians from college does ADI hire?
Um, I don't have the exact data from HR if the yearly trend, but at the moment when I looked at our current population, ADI Philippines is about there's about 6,000 employees in ADI Philippines, and in terms of engineering, there's about probably about 50 Bosconians that are in the engineering department. So that's the
Wow.
number that I saw when I looked at the data from HR. I don't have, Jeff, the exact number how many we've hired recently. I'll take a look and see how many we have in our recent hires.
That's good. That's good to know. Father Carmona, we have 50 now in the engineering department, in the engineering group of ADI. That's nice.
And Sir Dominic, that does not include, Bosconians who came from Victorias, who went to other colleges, but, you know,
Okay. 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 Noted. All right. Okay.
Congrats.
I see Father Carmona doing a thumbs up.
Sabi ni Father Carmona, up daw, i-up daw yung number. Mas mataas pa daw ang AR.
Yeah,
Tama.
definitely.
Okay. Other comments? John, what's tomorrow's technology trend for CPUs? Is Intel in trouble? Apple na ba ang mangunguna? Yan.
Very interesting question. So, I think there was a comment a while ago on on power efficiency, and I think Apple is trying to really flex their muscle in the CPU space with the M1 processor, which recently came out, and it really I think shows their technology on power efficiency and as well as computing capability as well. So I think um, in terms of CPU sales, Intel still dominates the market, but I think Intel would have to rethink their technology strategy and also would have to catch up in terms of process nodes. As you know, Intel still needs to come up with their 5 nanometer CPUs, get them out of the market. They still don't have that. So I think interesting times. I think the winner here, because of this competition, are the consumers. So I think the consumers will have more options, and AMD is also is also have a good amount of technology out there as well, even running on 5 nanometer technology. So um, I wouldn't say Intel is in trouble, but they really need to catch up, I think.
All right. All right. A follow-up question from Jeff. What can Don Bosco DBTC do to increase the hire rate in your company? Is there what are the skills lacking for the new hires in your observation?
Um, well, not really what's lacking, but my observation is over the maybe at least the past 3 years, what kind of engineers did we get, from DBTC? And what I've seen over the past 3 years, we've seen engineers from Don Bosco who are perfect fit in our test development engineering. Engineers from Don Bosco who came out as perfect fit to our applications engineering groups, and also to our product engineering groups. I think strengths in those areas. So if Don Bosco would continue, training the engineers in terms of uh, practical use of lab equipment, practical use of measurement equipment, I think that will be a strength for Bosconian engineers.
All right. So Father Carmona is taking note. Also, I suppose the other Bosconians here are also taking note. No? So, ayun. So, okay. Uh, they're conversing in the chat box actually. Si Jeff and Marlo are Pinoy nga. This is Chito is asking, John, next important is storage. I think I will be needing 20 terabyte of SSD. Magkano? Bagong Sony PS5 SSD na pero kulang pa rin because some games can be about 40 gig and more. Do you agree?
I really don't know how to answer this. Wala kasi ako masyadong exposure ngayon, no, sa storage industry, no, pero I think a lot of cool things are happening in the memory space. New process nodes are enabling SSDs to have more capacity. So I think we'll see those technology soon.
Okay, okay. So, Clark Atento, si Clark is medyo bata-bata pa to. Ito yung batch 2014, no? So sabi niya, well, aside from what you mentioned earlier, what is the edge of current Bosconian engineers in the semicon industry compared to others, engineers coming from other schools?
I think Bosconian engineers, the technology skill set is already there as a given. I think the edge of being a Bosconian engineer is the values formation that we get from a Bosconian institution, which other schools don't normally offer. I think that's the edge of a Bosconian engineer. It's the value formation and that strong religious foundation.
And being naturally good looking, of course.
Of course,
All right.
Sir Dominic.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Great presentation, John Sanchez. Congrats from Chito.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, yun. At this point, I think we have exhausted the questions and everybody's saying amen and all that. So, great. Thank you very much, John Sanchez. And earlier, thank you very much, Noni. I think he's still around. Thank you very much for the both of you guys. But before we go, this is the last day of our alumni webinar series. And I think our Don Bosco Mandaluyong Alumni Association President has something very exciting to announce right now. Engineer Fletcher Aquino.
I thought those mag-make ka ba ng trivia? Okay, anyway.
Mauuna ba yan?
Mauna yata yan eh. Mauna yata, di ba?
Sige, ito naman.
Yeah.
Guys,
perks yan ng last day.
Sorry?
Perks ng last day.
Alright, perks ng last day. Alright, sige, perks ng last day. Guys, I'm very happy that you guys have, practiced your skills at dexterity, finger dexterity, and ang dami nagta-type sa chat box and you have typed your name and stuff like that. So, pabilisan to ng sagot. Trivia contest, pabilisan ng sagot. I have 3 questions and each winner of the 3 questions will get this, if you can see this, it's a nice gray wolf's cap. Okay, so it's a nice gray wolf's cap. Courtesy of batch 1991, I believe. Maganda siya. Yan. Ayun pala eh. Yan. So, masking yung sa ilalim niya, may ganyan. So, nice. Okay. So, the first question is, we have all had great speakers from the webinar series, the 4-day webinar series. Name 2. The first one to name 2 speakers, excluding Jay and Noni, of course. Name 2 speakers from the previous 3 days of the seminar. Okay? May kasama yung host? Okay. So, sige. Yung nanalo, sige una. So, ang ano natin, the first one, di ba? The fastest typist.
Bilis ni Arnel. Arnel ba yun?
Si Arnel yata eh. Si Arnel.
Si Arnel ako nakakita.
Arnel, okay. So si Arnel de Malanta. Okay, Arnel de Malanta says Charlie Fernando and Doms Mendoza. Oh, sino ba yung pilato na yan? Alright, sige. Charlie Fernando and Doms Mendoza. Arnel de Malanta, congratulations. You win the first cap, courtesy of batch 1991. Okay, the second question is, name a favorite topic of yours. What is a favorite topic of yours during the entire webinar series? Kahit ano. Just type it down. The first one to type your favorite topic wins the prize. Lito Caballero. Mr. Lito Caballero, sir, congratulations, you won. You typed in the topic that was discussed by Mr. Charlie Fernando in day 2. This is the Internet of Things. Okay, Lito Caballero wins this cap, courtesy of batch 1991. Okay, and the last question is, again, sinabi na rin yan, no, ni Jay, di ba? We've had great speakers, all good-looking Bosconians, but there was one speaker na hindi Bosconian, and the speaker was a female. What's her name? Uy, ang bilis.
Nakita na ako nanalo
Okay, so Jeff Bonifacio. Okay, you win this one. You win this prize. Ha? Tama ba?
Parang wrong spelling eh.
Wrong spelling. Tama, wrong spelling. I think we'll invalidate your entry. Sino ba?
JD na pangalan.
Jansen Surbano. Okay, Jansen. Jansen, you win this one. All right? So,
Surbano spelling? CR?
sorry.
Last name ni Jansen? Surbano?
Zurbano.
Z?
Zurbano, yeah. Letter Z, yeah.
Zurbano.
Jansen, yeah. Jansen is from batch 97, I think. All right, Jansen, congrats. You'll win this. Okay, guys, Arnel, Lito, and Jansen, please send us your numbers so we can get in touch with you for your prizes. Okay?
Tama ba?
So,
Yeah.
and thank you very much, batch 1991, for this Grey Wolves cap. Okay. Ayan na yung mga winners. Nasa screen na natin. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. President. All right. Pero mas exciting yung announcement mo eh.
Oo nga
Reg, yun eh. Mas exciting yun eh.
Ako na,
It's day 1. Yun! It's time. All right. Here we go.
Alright. So, ito no. This is courtesy of batch 1980 through one of the board, Chito de la Vega, no? And anin ko lang yung mechanics, ano? Kasi ako, umattend ako full deal lahat, ano? Pero I waive my right to the, ano, to be part of the, ano, no? Kakahiya. Pero, ako lang nagpa-wave, tama ba ako? Don, kasama ka ba? Dom. Para lang alam lang nila. Sino ka ba?
Wait.
Sino ka ba?
Wait.
Oh, ito yung listahan, ano? Nakikita niyo yung listahan.
Wait na rin ako. Kasi wala akong choice. Nandito talaga ako all 4 days eh.
Okay. So, para lang clear. Kasi baka biglang manalo ka. Pero ako, wala na yung name ko eh. So, ako lang ang hindi kasali. Tama ba?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Ay, ikaw hindi kasali?
Basically, if you pick my name, okay lang. Yeah, you just draw it again.
Sige. So nakikita niyo yung mga listahan, ano? Yung listahan ng names. Tapos, pagka
Ano ba to, darts?
kakopy ko, nakita mo ba? Yung Excel?
Yes, yes. You can see
Okay.
that.
So, ita-transfer ko ngayon dito sa, ito, nakikita niyo ba? Hindi rin. Nakikita niyo yung wheel of ano? Hindi.
Online roulette.
So,
Yeah.
nakita niyo, alright. O sige, ita-transfer ko na yung names. So, nandito na lahat, ano? O, shuffle ko lang, ano? Kasi medyo importante ito eh. So, nakikita niyo ba? Nakikita niyo live?
We can see the Excel table.
Okay. Hindi, itong ano, yung pinaka wheel of names, nakikita niyo? Yung color?
Not yet.
Hindi nakikita to? Teka.
Hindi.
You are presenting. Window na lang kaya ang gawin ko. Yung buong window ko na lang. Entire screen. Yan. Nakikita niya na? Nakikita niya na?
No. We can only see.
Yes, sir.
No.
Bagong gupit ka. Bagong gupit.
Oo nga eh. Bakit yun? Hindi mo nakikita yung sinishare ko? So, ulit. Present entire screen. Share. Kaya pala hindi ko share eh. Yan, okay. Ito, kita niyo na.
Yan na. Yes.
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 So,
We can
nakikita niyo, sinashabol ko walang daya.
Awaited moment.
Okay. So, lahat ng umattend no first day to the last day. Pero ang perks, pag umattend kayo ng more than 2, mas marami yung stub ninyo. Okay? Yun. Kung first ka, actually, ano na lang nga yun eh, konsuelo na. Kasi kung one time ka lang pala umattend, supposedly hindi ka kasali. Pero, mabait yung mga organizer, sinama, pero single stub ka lang. Okay? So, isang draw lang to. Medyo mahal kasi yung watch. Salamat sa batch 1980. And we'd like to thank everyone for joining our webinar. And now, pwede na? Pwede ko na i-raffle ba? Ready na kayong lahat? So, isa lang tong watch na to. Kung manalo kayo, pakihintay lang kasi gagawin pa yung watch. It will take around 9 months kasi. Parang pinagbubuntis pa to. So, kung di kayo mapalad, you can still purchase the watch. 18,000 siya. It's a fundraising of the Mandaluyong Association. Okay? So, ready na? So, isang pindot lang to. Kung sino manalo, lalagay naman niya yung pangalan eh. Okay? Paki-take note na lang. Pipinutin ko na ha. Ready? Get set. Congratulations to the winner. And the winner is... Uy, muntik na. Rainier Aboyo is the winner.
Rainier, congratulations.
Congratulations.
92. Tama ba, Rain?
Yes po.
Sabay mo kasama ni ano kanina? Swerte.
Yes. Ano yan? Yes. Congratulations, Rainier.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yes. Siguro last ano natin, can we ask Father Carmona to say something or to lead us to ano? Father, our Salesian delegate to the alumni.
Yes, thank you. I would like to thank the president for organizing these things, and also the speakers who have been invited. They have done a great service to the alumni group. And I think the most interesting, at least for me also, following the Bosconians presenting their wares, their capacity in business, in management, in technology. I feel very proud of it. Congratulations, and I hope that you are setting the examples for the others to follow. In spite the big challenge today in engineering is the hands-on training in the classrooms and in the shops. That is our big problem, and I hope that we can get some kind of feedback or information or whatever to help us. We are struggling really how to deliver hands-on training, which you enjoyed before COVID-19. So our big challenge today under this quarantine and all this kind of restrictions in the school is to give what we have given to you before, the hands-on training skills. Today is a big problem to us, and I hope that with your expertise in the field, you can give us some feedback how to do it in your industry maybe, or where in the school how to do it. I would appreciate that. No, we are eagerly inventing any kind of possibilities to give that hands-on training to the engineers, to the technical groups in the TVET program. And I hope that we can get some feedback from you people who are in the industry right now, how to manage this big challenge of acquiring new skills or trade skills, expertise that the industry need today. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Father.
Okay, thank you, Father Carmona. Father Carmona is our alumni delegate as well as the vice rector of the school. Okay, Engineer Fletch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. I think nasabi ko na rin yung pizza. Thank
announcements?
you, everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
I closed my camera kanina. Okay lang.
All right. So for those of you naman who are looking for to look after your health pala, si Father Carmona has a health seminar. Father, di ba? You have a
Yeah,
health.
tonight we have 8:30 tonight.
All right, at 8:30. So you can have dinner and then attend Father Carmona's health seminar. It will be announced yung link sa Viber group ng Don Bosco Mandaluyong Alumni Forum. Okay. So with that, I believe it has been a long but very fruitful and sobrang enjoyable na webinar series. We started